try not to look ahead. At least in summary, that's Coach Kim Caldwell's message to her Lady Vols, especially when you consider that you're a bubble team to host in the NCAA tournament. And you don't want to look ahead because in this league, if you don't pay attention, anyone can get you. And that might be especially true when they welcome in Alabama, their first of their final 4 games of the regular season on Thursday. They extended their win streak to 4 a couple of days ago after taking down Texas A&M. That win also moved them 3 spots up in the latest AP poll. Everything you need to know about what might be a defensive game against the Tide on Thursday. I'm Paige Dower. This is the Field Pass on Full Disclosure. Earlier this month, Coach Kim Caldwell said, we can either defeat top 5, top 10 teams to secure our spots as a host team in the NCAA tournament, also rise in the AP polls to possibly a top 10 team, or we can win out the rest of the way. Well, they failed to do that in a rematch against LSU, but then they got theirs against Ole Miss just a couple of days ago. Now leading into needing to win out the rest of the season with just 4 games to go as they look to be at least a 4 seed so they can host the first couple of rounds of the NCAA tournament. And sometimes it's tough to not look ahead of what's in reach, and what's in reach is for Tennessee to once again be a host school once the NCAA tournament comes around. But if you spend too much time thinking about those what ifs or the program getting back to those types of moments where they were routinely hosting the playoffs or the NCAA tournament, then you might suffer a loss that you otherwise wouldn't. And that will absolutely be the case against Alabama, who for much of the season has kind of seemed like they've been down and out. A number of times they've been within 10 against ranked opponents, but were never able to close the deal. Then their last 4 games, granted it's against opponents like Texas A&M, Florida, Mississippi State, and Georgia, they're getting sizable wins to get to that 4-game win streak. And as Coach Kim Caldwell tells me, if you don't pay attention, they'll get you.
We've talked about this. It's not a league where you have a bum that you're going to play. You got to show up and play every night. So every game is actually a big game. When I was at lower levels, maybe you had to fabricate some things and hype up an opponent on the road. This is not the scenario. I mean, all of these teams can whip you if you're not ready.
And maybe one of the main reasons Coach Kim Caldwell says that we don't need to fabricate anything is because when you consider how intense the SEC is, not just on the men's side, but on the women's side too, continuing to breed the premier league for women's basketball. So that's one reason alone you don't ever want to take your eyes off of your next opponent, regardless of what the paper side of the matchup will tell you. But when we do look to the paper side of this, it kind of is indicating that this will be a defensive-minded game and scout for the Lady Vols. These last few games, the opponents have kind of played through their defense, and the Lady Vols can really focus on their offense and building their efficiency there. That'll flip against the Alabama Crimson Tide, where Tennessee will kind of need to be the defensive-minded team. And when you've got players like Talaysia Cooper and Kanaya Boyd, seems you're going to have some success with that. And I'll get to what Coach Kim Caldwell said on Kanaya in just a second, because it is pretty nice. When we look at Alabama, granted, their overall shooting is not very good. They're below, 30 and 40% in a number of their scoring statistics, but they are led by Sarah Ashley Barker, who scores about 17 points a game. They've got 4 players for the Lady Crimson Tide who are in double-digit scoring. And really what kind of solidifies how good they are on offense is how they're able to dominate on the boards. They're a much bigger, much taller team overall than the Lady Vols, and that's where they get a lot of their second chance points, where they get a lot of tough buckets, deep in the paint. That's where Tennessee will need to be able to be that defensive-minded team, and that's where we've seen Z Spearman really take a step forward by really being kind of the aggressor in that area, getting crucial rebounds for the Lady Vols, and they're expecting for them that they'll really need their defense to feed their offense in this matchup.
We have to be the defensive-minded team. We have to really guard the three-point line. They're a team that has 6 players that can give you 20, and everyone, we had to play team defense, but you got to step up and do your job.
And it's especially tough to take on a team that's on the rise, and while they maybe have been down and out for much of the season, the last few games have been very kind to Alabama. So they're coming into this matchup with a ton of momentum. They've got a chip on the shoulder like the Lady Vols have for much of the season, and you want to make sure that these last 4 games are played out the way that they want to be played. Sometimes you'll take a loss if it's just like, the other team just made one more bucket than us, but we played the game that we needed to play. We gave it our all, and sometimes it just isn't going to go your way, because that's the main point that Kim Caldwell is really, focusing in on this week. It's like, we don't want to look ahead. We want to stay where our feet are, not only because we don't want to, disrespect the opponent or think we're too good for that and just, get ready for the NCAA tournament. For a lot of her players, like Jewel Spear, this is their last go at it. And she mentioned how maybe understanding that you're getting down to the end of your career can help keep you focused at times.
Your lasts are coming closer and closer of you only have a few more Monday practices. You only have a few more home games. You only get to wear this uniform one more time. Everything starts to mean a little bit more.
But one person who was not close to the end of her career is Kanaya Boyd, who these last few games is starting to see a lot more playing time than what we've been seeing earlier in the season, getting several more minutes each game. And what I've noticed a lot of the time is she's someone that Coach Kim Caldwell puts in the press. She's always up early in the press, guarding full court. She is probably their fastest and most defensively savvy player that they have on this team, and it's something she even herself talked about in the preseason media day, that she thinks this game is, really kind of tailor-made to her style of play. So side note, kind of gets you excited for the players that are coming up, because I think the high school game is changing a lot to complement what Coach Kim Caldwell is running here at Tennessee. But understanding what she's been able to do through her defense will be a huge emphasis in this game against Alabama. But if she can continue to grow at this rate, Coach Caldwell says that she's going to be crucial for their success not only this season, but she says she's the future of this program.
I trust her. I trust her to be out there. I trust her playing hard. She talks. She's on her. She doesn't act like a freshman. She has some moments where she has some freshman eyes, but in practice, she's on her teammates. She's leading. She's on our leadership committee because she is vocal. She is the future of this program.
It's important to make the right decisions, like when to go for it on 4th down, or when to kick the field goal or go for the touchdown. It's also important to make the right insurance decisions too. That's why my office, Trey McAdams State Farm, is here to help you select the right protection at the right price. Our office will make sure you understand your State Farm coverages, so you'll know what to expect when the unexpected happens. With Trey McAdams State Farm, it's easy to make the right call. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Proud sponsor of the Tennessee Vols.
If they can get their defense to feed their offense, then hopefully they'll get it to the co-SEC Player of the Week in Jewel Spear, who had just another 20-plus point performance. Incredible from the three-point line, and even getting some action in the paint and from the field as well. And a lot of her success, while we'll hear that she feels more confident, and we'll even hear Coach Yo from Ole Miss say that, she's just really consistent. This is how she was a year ago. It's actually her understanding of the game that's allowed her to become more consistent, to become more confident. And if they can find balance with her, if Talasia Cooper can maybe, find a better shot, because so much of what she does is always contested, especially in those mid-range jumpers, then this will be a very balanced team, which is what you need to be when you do look ahead, if they'll let us, to the NCAA tournament. You can have a really great game and it's led by your defense, but how you win and close games is what your offense typically will do, and what Jewel Spear has been doing in those clutch moments late in games could be the difference maker for this team having success in the SEC tournament, in the NCAA tournament, and maybe to put it all on her, win the last 4 games of the regular season.
I think she's understanding our spacing and timing a little bit better, that sometimes the further you are away from the ball means you're going to have a better chance of getting the ball. She's doing a better job of cutting without the basketball, and she's doing a really good job of playing at pace. She doesn't get sped up. So she changes gears really well, and I think that's why she's been able to score off the bounce more this year.
So it's a massive game on Thursday. Not only is it another ranked matchup for Tennessee to hopefully get another ranked win, move up in the AP poll, move up in the net rankings, but it's a chance to continue to solidify what they're doing this season and hopefully bolster their reason to be not only a bubble host team, but to secure at least a top 4 seed to have a Knoxville regional back here on Rocky Top. But I'll be back later today for more on Tennessee baseball, as the midweek games are finally back for Lindsey Nelson Stadium. And then later this week, I'll have post-game reactions for the Tennessee and Alabama women's basketball game on Thursday. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Talk to you tomorrow. Or later tonight. I'll talk to you later tonight.